He's 40 feet away near the timeline. Now Jimmer sizing up Moss. Oh, no. Oh, yes! Oh, yes!
Oh, no. Oh, yes. Jim Range is back. We're here for episode 42, recording this the evening of Friday, February 24th. I'm Carl Heiser, joined as always by my co-host Alex Cervantes. Alex, how you doing today?
In a world of hurt, figuratively and literally. I despise second half comebacks and all things Urbana-Champaign at the moment. And I'm sick. So it's all just like I was riding high. I was riding really high, some would say. And this is really taking me back down to earth. So I guess it's good in some respects.
On the bright side, Northwestern, the sole owners of second place in the Big Ten.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
No, not tied with anybody. So
not tied with anybody.
Which is saying something in the Big Ten, where it seems like every single team is tied with each other.
Truly.
So there's that. There's the fact that Boo Buie is a heat-seeking missile for first team all conference right now.
Yeah, if he doesn't make it, I'm throwing hands with everybody. Everybody can come meet me at DM me for my address. Or actually, I'll DM you for your address and I'll meet you.
Yeah. You don't go anywhere. Alex will come to you. Alex will be
I'll find you. I'll find you, other 27 Big Ten media voters.
And on the other, good notes, this podcast collectively owns Purdue. We own Purdue.
Yes, we do.
We just do.
We do.
Zach Edey, who's that? We have Juju Reese.
You're right. Zach Edey, who? Actually, I can't say that. He hung like 26 on us. Doesn't matter. Fletcher Lawyer, who? Braden Smith,
Zach Edey's not even good. He's just tall, right?
Did you read the article on ESPN?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was so funny.
Yeah. But I mean, brings up good points. Like, what did Zach Edey say? He's like, or no, it wasn't even Zach Edey, but somebody in the article was like,
there are a lot of 7'4" guys, but the rest of them suck.
Yeah, there are a lot of tall basketball players who aren't good at basketball.
So funny.
Yeah, which is very true. Purdue's kind of taken a little bit of a step back in recent weeks, and I think maybe their backcourt's starting to get exposed a little bit. Like, what do you think about Purdue moving forward?
I mean, we say step back, like they're still not a top 5 team in the country. Like,
right, like they're still not 2 games clear in the Big Ten.
2 games clear of the Big Ten. No, I mean their backcourt, like they do show the flaws at times, and it's like I was talking with I had a friend from Indiana come up for the Northwestern Indiana game, and we were talking about Purdue, and it's just like we both agreed that Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer are going to be like exceptional. Like they're already a good Big Ten backcourt, but they will be exceptional in a year, 2 years time.
Mm-hmm.
And what to me needs to be remedied with like Braden Smith is that it feels like every time he like makes a straight line drive towards the rim and he can't get a look at the rim or he can't find Edey, he like jumps behind the basket in hopes that he can kick it to whatever the corner is, and then like when it isn't there, he like throws it and he turns it away. And that's obviously something just like a freshman will make, but it's you can tell you can kind of like push him around a little bit now, even, like I think even like late when Northwestern was playing Purdue, like Chase Audige kind of got up into Fletcher Lawyer near half court, forced the steal, and then got the dunk, and that cut it to 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's clearly a recipe to beat Purdue. You kind of muck it out. Rutgers kind of set that in stone where if you take the other guards out of play, like Edey is going to get his. Teams need to accept that. Like it's when you try to shut down Edey that's where you're going to run into trouble. And it's why I thought Northwestern was doomed when Gillis started 3 of 3 and they were 5-9 from 3, 12 minutes into the game. Like if those guys can and will hit shots, it's unlike them for them to finish a game 0 of 13 over the final 32 minutes. So
sure,
teams need to accept that like Edey's going to get his. He's going to push 30 most nights. Like he's going to grab a ton of boards. But if you can shut down that backcourt, like you've got a good chance of winning that game. And I think that's where everyone's kind of at. Unless I'm wrong.
that's sort of where it's interesting you say that about, how to play Purdue, because I think when Maryland, when we beat them, we kind of took the opposite approach, which was like, we're not going to let Zach Edey beat us. We're going to make Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer beat us. And like, that just wasn't going to happen. Like Braden Smith, I think, finished with 18 points. Like he had a good game, but Fletcher Lawyer just like disappeared. And they weren't like both able to hit shots and Juju Reese, I mean, to his credit, played very good defense on Zach Edey. My big concern entering the game was like, Juju Reese is going to he's going to foul out in the first half. Like, because some of it is like reputation and some of it I think is lack of discipline, where he picks up like really like ticky-tack fouls a lot of the time. And some of that is because like he does like stupid things, like he touches guys when he doesn't need to and gets called for the foul. But then at that point, the refs are now like looking for it every game to see if he keeps doing it, and he keeps doing it. So like he'll sit down in the first half with like 2 fouls in the first 10 minutes. And then, that's when we kind of run into trouble because our front court presence is sort of lacking. So but I think, teams are starting to figure out Purdue a little bit. Which is, I mean, they have sets on sets on sets. Like they're so difficult to game plan for. Matt Painter is like a grandmaster at chess. He's crazy. Like I was listening to the Old Terps podcast, and they were talking about a conversation they had with like one of Purdue's managers or something. And the manager was asking like the Maryland guys, like, hey, basically like, how'd you game plan for the game? Like it was kind of like afterward or whatever. And they were like, yeah, I mean, we practiced like this, this set or whatever. And the guy's like, which one? Because they have like 10 versions of the same set and like will adjust accordingly if you game plan for one of them. It's just so complicated. Like they're very difficult to play.
Yeah. And also like, I think my biggest takeaway, because I remember like last year when Northwestern played Purdue in Evanston, but I just seem to be like, you have like these massive like fiery personas in Brad Underwood and Fran McCaffrey, and like it took me aback how like stoic isn't the right word, but like how like calm Matt Painter is even after a loss. Like he was a little disgruntled about the officiating, which I can understand. Like Zach Edey is 7'4", he's going to take a lot of hits in the post, and like not everything's going to get called, but he like didn't put it on the officials, and some of it is, I'm sure, coach speak, but like he really did like credit Northwestern's game plan and like Northwestern down the stretch. And like, I don't know, I was just like, in a world where it's very easy to kind of chop it up and like point the finger at something else. Like it was, I don't know, it was just a little refreshing in a certain respect. But
so I'm looking towards March. Like, what do you think Purdue's outlook is at this point?
I mean, I don't know. They're like, they still fit all the criteria for a national contender, right? So, I mean, it's hard not to say. I get a lot of like, I see a lot of like the stuff on the TL about, well, wait for Purdue to play that like mid-major team and like on the like 1-8 line.
Yeah.
I don't know if I see that, but they're feeling less and less. I don't think they were ever a Final Four lock, but I mean, who truly is? But I don't know. Yeah. I feel pretty comfortable saying like Elite Eight. Not lock, but like
the fact of the matter is, like, not a lot of teams are. The Big Ten is kind of unique in that like they have a lot of bigs who can not be an answer for Zach Edey, but like kind of match up with him decently well, just from like a size perspective. Obviously, nobody else is like 7'4", but you still have like a lot of good like traditional post players in the Big Ten. Yeah. Other conferences like not so much.
Don't.
Like I mean, in the Big East, it's like what Ryan Kalkbrenner, right? And then other than that, like I mean, guys who probably won't make the tournament, like Manny Bates would be probably a good matchup, but he's not even going to be in the tournament. So. And then like mid majors, it's like Vanover
would have a hard time.
It's Vanover and Oral Roberts and like
in fairness, UConn can throw Sonogo and Klingon at them, but
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Arizona has ball, so like there are other teams,
But Sanogo's what, 6'9", 6'10", so he's giving up 6 inches down low.
Yeah.
Like, jeez.
Yeah, still, you just need somebody. You need somebody with size down there.
You do.
I mean, otherwise, Edie's gonna beat you the entire game. But I mean, on the flip side, like I still don't think we've really seen a game. And correct me if I'm wrong. If Edie's like really gotten into foul trouble.
I feel like, gosh, wasn't there? I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna find it. I feel like there was one.
So you can go through and find it, but like I know against Maryland, like maybe a little bit, but it still seemed like he was kind of out there.
I mean, it's tough in the grand scheme of things. I mean, Purdue, Indiana, in assembly, he had 2 fouls in the first.
Yeah.
They went down 15.
Yeah.
He played, and they obviously cut it to 1 point before Hood-Schifino. But
he had three against Northwestern.
Yeah, he wasn't ever like really in it though.
Yeah, it was the same thing against Maryland. But that's
Summer was late.
I think that's very telling though, is that teams are figuring out how to beat them with Edie in the game.
Yeah.
Because before it felt like you have to take him out of the game somehow. Like you have to figure out how to get him into foul trouble. And now we're seeing teams like figure out how to play against them and beat them without doing that.
He also doesn't he was in foul trouble against West Virginia all the way back in the Phil Knight legacy. But yeah. he maybe it was just what Northwestern was throwing at him with their like patented low post doubles.
Double everything, yeah.
Double everything. But like he did not pass. I mean, he had 6 turnovers. Like he could not pass out of it to save his life. Even after they got a couple like quick hitters early, like dumping it down to first for a dunk. But I don't know, it was just like a delay in like reaction time. He was almost like waiting for like that second help defender to drop back into coverage rather than just like kick it and then swing and it's an open 3. But
yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, long story short, this podcast
we own
Purdue.
We own the Boilermakers.
We own Purdue. Yeah. I mean, there's a giant heavyweight matchup on Sunday that threatens to tear this podcast apart. You know,
asunder.
Yeah, completely asunder. I mean, it's playing for second place in the Big Ten. So
it is. It's a big.
Nobody could have predicted that at the beginning.
Nobody could have predicted that. We need Trevor Everett to like pull up our like insane rants from that one episode we did with him.
That is the funniest. It's funny how well those have aged.
I know.
Like, because we both gave them as like very tongue-in-cheek.
Oh yeah.
Rants, but like yours was like pretty much about it was Boo Boo and Chase Adige, which has panned out, and mine was about Akeem Hart, which has panned out. So
yeah, I couldn't have been saying anything more sarcastically though, so I guess I should apologize to Boo.
Yeah, but it kind of just goes to show how much of a crapshoot all of this is.
Truly.
So
truly,
that is something I'm interested to go back through and see is where teams finished relative to like where I predicted them to be. Because a lot of the shots I took were like, I mean, decently accurate. Like I was really low on Wisconsin, but I was also low on Marquette. And look where Marquette's
low on Marquette. Yeah.
Basically going to win the Big East. So it is what it is. I think we kind of have to talk about the Alabama stuff a little bit. It's been talked to death, kind of like
it has.
I put out the full 6 minute TikTok video. Attempting to be kind of nuanced in a discussion that hasn't been super nuanced. Here's what I'll say about it. Like at this point, it kind of is what it is. And that's obviously not what anybody really wants to hear. But like the fact of the matter is Brandon Miller is not going to be charged with anything. And he's going to continue to play. And so that's not me saying like he should or shouldn't be playing. It's just like that it is what it is. Like that's just how it's going to be. Yeah, and trying not to lose sight of the fact that like this wasn't just like a victimless deal. Because there were people that were definitely very impacted and hurt by that. So like to make it about, you know, whether or not Brandon Miller is playing is almost like not really the point. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Just kind of my thoughts. But in a weird way, after seeing what Brandon Miller went out and did against South Carolina, this might be, in a weird way, the best thing that ever happened to them. Because there's a world of, like, there are 2 different types of players who go through this type of thing, where it's like one who They go into a road arena and they get the booze, they get the chance, and they completely fold. Like, and then there's guys like Brandon Miller who hear that and they internalize that and use that as motivation for better or worse, and then drop 41 on South Carolina. Like, this might actually end up turning into like a good thing for Alabama in a very weird, motivational way. But then, I mean, on the flip side of that, like, they squeaked by South Carolina. So, you love to see Brandon Miller score 41, get the game winner, but also, like, it was against, like, maybe the worst team in your conference. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Do you have thoughts about this? About Brandon Miller, about Alabama?
Like, it's a terrible situation. A young mother lost her life in a senseless act of violence, right? And to a certain degree, like, part of me wants to just be like, do you not have the foresight to, like, not drive somewhere with a gun?
Yes.
After someone asked you for it. Like,
correct. At best, it was very, very poor judgment.
Correct. And so, and like, at the same time, he's a teenager, right? Like, he's 18 years old. All his life,
he's 20, I'm pretty sure, but
he's 20. Yeah, he is 20.
He's like old for a freshman.
I forgot. I remember I texted you that because I was shocked to learn he was 20.
Yeah.
Geez. Anyway, yeah, like, I can't really add anything nuanced. Like, NATO's comments earlier in the week were insensitive beyond measure.
Really bad.
and then for him to come out today at a press conference and be like, we've been taking it very seriously from day one. It's just like another level of backtracking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah, if I don't want to give NATO the benefit of the doubt, but if I were to, I think that first press conference he gave, he definitely knew more information than like the public knew. So like in his mind, he was probably more comfortable like saying things like that. But for everybody else who didn't know all the things that he probably knew, it was like, dude, what the heck is wrong with you?
And also, there was just like I felt like conflicting reports of like, it was Miller's gun that he brought, or like it was Miles' gun that he like brought, and then it was eventually cleared up to where he drove the vehicle which had the gun, which Miles requested, to the scene of the crime.
Right.
So
then a question of like, did he know? Didn't he know?
Yeah.
It got really murky, and I'm definitely like not qualified to parse out like all the legal.
Oh, for sure.
The legal stuff.
No.
But it is interesting to talk about and kind of theorize about.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's good, but
no.
Yeah.
It definitely isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I don't know. Alabama's like, they're going to be a 1 seed.
They are.
And they're very good. They're very, very good. Not many teams have showed us, like, we talked about kind of the formula to beat Purdue. We haven't really seen the formula to beat Alabama, really. It is kind of like be really good at perimeter defense and then hope
shut down Brandon Miller.
Yeah, shut down Brandon Miller.
Shut down Brandon Miller, be good at perimeter defense, hope they don't shoot it well.
Right, because they've played teams with good perimeter defense and they've still been fine. So against Tennessee, he had only 15, 4 for 11 from the field. Like 15 and 10 for him is like, shutting him down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good job, guys.
Good job, guys.
Quickly sticking in the same conference, though. Thoughts on Kermit Davis getting axed?
I'm surprised they didn't let him finish out the season.
Okay.
Like I'm kind of curious about like what the rationale for that was, because they have like 2 games left. Like they're not going to be in the NIT. They're not like a CBI team. Like they have no games left after like a week and a half from now. So I don't really understand like what the idea was there. Unless it's like they have somebody in mind and they're like, we want to get a head start before like all these other programs on getting the guy that we want.
Chris Beard, ?
Chris Beard, ? Dusty May, ? Pat Kelsey, ?
Grant McCaslin was also shouted out in the ESPN article.
So that's the only thing I can think of where it would make any real sense. I get that, their season is basically over, so it kind of doesn't really matter when they decided to fire him. But
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like just let him finish out the season with like the team that he's been coaching for. I mean, he's had some of those guys for a few years now, so you'd think they just let him like finish it out one last ride. But I feel like there's something going on behind the scenes that they want to get kind of a head start on the next guy because they had already decided like Davis is done.
Coming back.
Yeah. Because I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of pretty decent programs who will be looking for a head coach, or at least like historic programs that'll be looking for a head coach. Like I think Texas is probably going to bring back Rodney Terry based on how things are going. They absolutely should. If they don't, that's kind of a joke. Notre Dame will be looking for a coach.
Syracuse?
Georgetown.
Mark?
I think. Well, I don't. Syracuse should be on that list, but I don't think they will be.
Yeah.
I mean, Georgetown obviously has seen better days, but that's still a pretty prominent name in college basketball circles. It looks like they'll have a job open. So
Kentucky?
Potentially Kentucky. It's possible.
Like to stir the pot.
Yeah, sure. Why not? But yeah, so that's kind of, I don't know. It stinks though. Like it stinks to not be able to finish the season, but
oh yeah, absolutely.
Probably something else. Something else going on.
Did you say Cal by any chance?
I didn't, just because I don't.
It's not a big job.
It's not that big of a job because they kind of openly don't care that much about their basketball program.
That's fair. Still a Power 6 program.
Yeah. But that one will probably be open. Maybe Oregon State.
Georgia Tech. Stanford.
Stanford.
Would Stanford be open?
Yeah, I'd throw Stanford in there probably too. Kermit Davis to Cal.
Jeez. I want to give my enemy that job, my worst enemy that job.
Where did he? Okay, he was at Middle Tennessee. Okay,
yeah,
that's where he was. Yeah. Okay.
The Blue Raiders.
That's an elite
nickname.
Mascot. It's a good one. Nickname. So George Washington is changing their name from the Colonials because it's quote unquote divisive among the campus community.
Mm-hmm.
My 2 cents on that is like, it's not the colonizers. Like the Colonials were the people who fought the colonizers, but I digress. But some of the name options they have are actually, I'll pull up the list and you can just give me your instant reactions to.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we don't talk about the A10 a whole lot because this year the A10 is a dumpster fire.
Thumbs down.
One bid A10.
How is Dayton still like remotely in the tournament conversation according to Joe Lunardi?
Because Joe Lunardi doesn't know what he's talking about.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, some of it, like I was reading some stuff about his bracketology, and like I think generally what people have kind of realized is some of it is kind of a marketing thing where he kind of just moves people around like randomly. You know, when not every game is one that necessitates you moving them up or down a seed line. But some of that is so that ESPN can make it sound like, you know, all the games that we're, you know, showing, like they matter. They have bracket implications when like
they don't.
In reality, they really don't. But when you see all this movement, it's like, oh, wow, like we could move up a seed line. We can move.
You could also just simply market the Big 12 better. College basketball's best conference. You could just put them on your main channels.
Honestly,
just a thought.
It's true. It was it Kansas State and Kansas were on ESPN Plus?
Yeah, I was like, come on, man.
Crazy. That's so crazy. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, here's the George Washington moniker options. In alphabetical order.
Of course.
The Ambassadors. No, not about it. No. The Blue Fog.
Yes.
I'm all about the Blue Fog. Sign me up for the Blue Fog. I want the Blue Fog.
What is the mascot going to be? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Like I need that. That's what I need.
The George Washington Blue Fog would go very hard.
So hard. Yeah.
Okay. The Catalysts.
No.
Yeah. It's like Catalyst, I get it, it's a cool word, but
No,
it's
man,
a
I use
bad
that.
like nickname.
Yeah, no, I use that as a good like action word in my articles.
Yeah,
We don't need that.
exactly. Yes.
Although the headlines would go hilarious, like the catalyst failed to catalyze in 40-point loss to X team, like that.
Sure.
Headlines write themselves.
Next up, the fireworks.
That's so bland. I hate
Yeah,
that.
it sounds
This
like
is
a minor
ironic.
league baseball team.
Sick of basketball with like the 3 lines behind it to tell you that it's going through the air.
So basically the Orlando Magic logo.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm glad you got the vision.
Yeah. The Independence.
No. Sounds like a local
This
high
one,
school I'm from.
this one I would want just for the memes. The Monumentals.
Who pitched that?
Yeah, I know.
What?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's so
Not
bad.
even like the monument. I think the George Washington monuments would be hilarious.
No, that would be fantastic.
But generally, I'm not a fan of like adjectives as your name. So the monuments would be funny, but that's not an option. So the Revolutionaries.
I guess it's fine.
I mean, it's fine. Yeah. The Sentinels.
I don't hate it, but
I don't hate it. Yeah, it's fine.
reminds me of Transformers.
The Squad.
George Washington, the Squad.
No, George Washington University, the Squad. It's just Squad, but you bring up a good point that maybe that would be better.
Yeah, George Washington, the Squad, and then it's just like, nah, and then you get like you get the team photo, the team roster. Stay with me. You get like the team roster at the beginning of the year, and then you put like cartoon characters of like Benjamin Franklin, Paul Revere, like all these Revolutionary War guys in the background.
Yeah. I think at that point you have to put a comma in the name, like George Washington, comma, the Squad. It's like Tyler, the Creator. That'd be pretty good.
That's
okay, then
for me.
The last one is Truth. The George Washington Truth.
No.
That's straight up a WNBA basketball team. The Truth.
Not even that, man. It's just like
it totally sounds like one.
Are we gonna recite that like little short story about him? Oh, I cannot tell a lie before
I think that's
game.
why they did that. Yeah.
I know. That's just at that point, just call yourself the George Washington Apples. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
It's got to be the Blue Fog. It won't be, but it should be.
I think it might be, honestly. I think that's the one that's going to get the best feedback because that's the first round of this is they're submitting the names to community feedback. And I would be surprised if that wasn't the best one because it just objectively is the best one.
The George Washington University Blue Fog. Oh, my gosh. And you can act like the Blue Fog on the Delaware River and have him, like, going through.
Yes.
Transitioning.
It's really
your next. Yeah, no, I'm a genius. Good. Someone put me on their marketing team.
Plus, I think it elevates from Colonials. I think
it's so much better.
Is a better name. Like, I don't even think a lot of the names on here are better than Colonials. Maybe like 2 or 3 of them. So,
what about, like,
the podcast favorite, we're submitting our collective vote for Blue Fog, and then
I'm going to be spamming that vote for what it's worth. If they let me, if I find a way to vote.
Yeah, our favorites are Blue Fog and then 2 that we just made up. So The Squad and Monuments.
Yep.
Instead of
I'm submitting those in an other. I hope they make it a Google form and I can
that'd be good.
Other The Squad. Oh. And then they're gonna go like 4-14 in the A10. It'll be great.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I don't know. Kind of is what it is. We just touched on Kansas. Are we saying can they really go back to back? Maybe that's kind of a stupid question, but
it doesn't look good for Greg and I's preseason take.
About Kansas or about Jalen Wilson?
Both.
Because
for the Jayhawks to get to the national title, it needs to be Jalen Wilson driving that ship.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they absolutely can repeat, but it is so incredibly hard to do so. So I'm inclined to say no, which I know is not a bold take in any sense.
I'm mostly just impressed that they're in such a position that we're having the conversation because they lost four of five starters. They basically lost an entire starting lineup from last year, is the point. Yes. 4 or 5. They lost 4 or 5 starters from last year.
Wasn't Harris starting in the national title game and they brought Martin off the bench? If we really want to be nitpicky.
I mean, sure. Yeah. Remy Martin was preseason Big 12 player of the year.
That's fair.
So I just consider him a starter, even though he kind of got put in the doghouse for a little bit.
They're very good. I'm surprised with how good KJ Adams has been, which I'm, again, not a bold take, but to be playing center on a top 5 team in the country at 6'7", 220 on a good day.
Yeah, true. One of the big storylines right now is the question of the North Carolina Tar Heels and what to do with them. You know where I stand on this. I just think I don't think they should be even in consideration. Like if you put them in consideration, like put Vanderbilt in consideration, put like Seton Hall in consideration.
They're gonna make the tournament.
You think so? You still think so?
Yeah.
Who do they beat to get there, Virginia or Duke? Because that would have to happen.
They'll beat Duke. They might beat Virginia.
I think they're more likely to beat Virginia, honestly, than Duke. Virginia's like a little more vulnerable than I think people realize.
Virginia's vulnerable, but they're now coming off a 15-point drubbing to Boston College.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're not locked in.
Yeah, maybe people do realize how vulnerable Virginia is at this point.
Yeah. No, I don't like. For what it's worth, Derek Lively, as great a game as he played, got away with a lot of contact against UNC in the first meeting, and I don't think he will get that friendly whistle in the Dean Dome.
Yeah.
And UNC makes a living at the free throw line. And I just simply don't believe I live in a world where Caleb Love plays bad in 2 consecutive games against Duke.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So you think like they're just getting in, but at this point, would you say that they aren't deserving to get in? Like they have to.
They're not deserving. Still? They shouldn't get in. This is a dumpster fire beyond comprehension and words. They are still going to make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Part of me wonders if they're sandbagging a little bit, if they're just kind of like biding their time, saving their energy.
That would be infuriating. If this UNC team just went on load management to squeak into the tournament as a 10 seed and then runs roughshod all the way through to the Elite Eight,
yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do, but frustration would be at an all-time high.
Right. Not to call out friend of the program, Brian Ralph, but he did think that they were only going to lose like 2 games this year. So
he thought they were historical. They were going to have 2 losses.
Yeah.
Hey, we all had bad takes. I have a lot of them.
I think they had 2 losses in the first week. So, yeah, we got loads of bad takes. That's not a shot. We don't really take shots here.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Podcast owns Purdue.
Podcast owns Purdue. At the end of the day, podcast owns Purdue. How are you feeling right now about Gonzaga? Let's do a check-in on Gonzaga. Your thumbs up? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I really enjoyed Kevin Sweeney's tweet last night on somebody's always saying something about
yeah.
But yeah, no, Gonzaga gonna be fine. Defense, not there. Offense, good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Good enough to make the Final Four, like.
Yeah, just to outscore people for 4 games, I could see it.
Yeah, they can do that.
Yeah. You hold a team to roughly 75 points, they will outscore you.
Yeah. They'll be okay. They'll be okay.
Yeah. Big believers. Also, Arkansas heating up, question mark.
Heating up a little bit. Nick Smith back. He's looked good.
I say in a reactionary take due to Nick Smith's 26 points against Georgia.
Yeah, but still, that's what they need, though. They need that, especially with Trevon Brazile out. Like, they need that extra scoring punch. It can't just be like Ricky Council and, Anthony Black maybe scoring, maybe. Like, they need that other – they need, I think, 2 guys scoring the ball. Because even like last year's team that went on that run to the Elite Eight, I mean, it was JD Notae. They had kind of the front court presence with Jalen Williams, and then I'm blanking on who their second guard was. Was it Devo Davis? It was, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm a little concerned that they don't have the depth or the shooting, because things start to get a little bit dicey after their first 5 or 6 guys. But
well, I mean, I'm just looking back at Arkansas's roster, and like last year, we don't need to get caught in the weeds of this, but like last year was like JD Notae and then a combination of like Audiz, Tony, Devo Davis, and Stanley Mude. Like it was one of the three would cook.
Right. Yes, I do remember that, because I forget what I wrote about. I can't remember if I did that region preview, but basically it was like it's going to be JD Notae, and then one of these guys is going to score in like any given game. They just kind of rotate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that rings a bell for sure. Then the other team that is kind of your team this year, Creighton. How do you feel about Creighton?
Big thumbs up.
I'd feel really good about them right now, honestly.
I get that they're coming off a loss to Marquette, and they lost to Providence in double OT, but
yeah,
considering one of those games went to double OT and the other one was by 2 points, not that worried.
Right.
Considering it was separated by like an 8-game win streak.
Marquette has essentially locked up the Big East title with that win over Creighton.
It has. Not good for my preseason take about Creighton running through the Big East, but I digress.
It's okay.
Yeah, I love Creighton so much. And they meet the marks of a national champion.
Do they? Wow.
Yep. Top 30 offense, top 12 defense.
That's fun.
Go Blue Jays.
That's fun. Go Blue Jays. Yeah, but Marquette, their remaining games, 3 games left. They're a game and a half up on Xavier, and Marquette's remaining games are against DePaul, Butler, and St. John's. So
that would have to be an
congratulations, Marquette.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us be, as first reported on the Jimmer Age podcast, Marquette has won the Big East title.
Oh.
So make sure anyone else who's reporting that, make sure you credit us as having first reported that Marquette has won the conference.
Sources close to the situation tell Carl Reiser that.
Yeah. The Big East, so.
Hey, wait. I have the Athletics recent thing pulled up. I'll do all of them right now.
Recent bracketology?
Yep.
Marquette, how good is their bracketology?
I don't know. I enjoy it. The graphic is cool.
Yeah. As far as entertainment value goes, you like it?
Yeah. Listen, I don't think too much about it. I think like I just enjoy it for like what it is.
Yeah.
Because
just seeing a bracket.
Yeah. All of it's irrelevant.
It's true. Yeah.
Like
until we actually have a bracket, it doesn't really matter that much.
Correct. So for context, I'm going to pull up the field of 68 as well. But while that loads,
fielding the 68.
Fielding the 68. How true of them. Okay, let's do field of 68 first. Let's find a Big East team. Marquette plays Colgate.
Marquette.
Okay.
Marquette wins that game.
Next, Providence plays Boise State.
Boise State wins that game.
That was quick.
I will be taking Boise State.
Creighton plays VCU.
Creighton wins that game. VCU's tough, but Creighton wins that game.
UConn plays Hofstra.
Oh, dude, that stinks. I love Hofstra. I love Hofstra.
I know.
But I would pick UConn still.
I wonder if this one's also tough for you. Xavier plays Utah Valley.
Utah Valley's better than I think most people realize, but I would still take Xavier.
So there's your 4. And I think they only have 5 teams in. So.
And honestly, Providence could definitely – like Boise State's offense – really Boise State will just have to like hope that their defense can limit Providence. And I think that's kind of possible because it's not like Providence is this awesome offensive team.
Yes. So conversely, the Athletic. Xavier against Liberty, 5-12.
Okay.
Sully Boom versus Darius McGee.
That would be so fun. That's a toss-up. I would still, because I think I like Xavier's upside, but that is a very tough mid-major to have to play. So I'm not even gonna make a pick there.
Okay.
There's some matchups I see in bracketology where I'm like, I hope we don't actually get this because I don't know who to pick.
Yeah. UConn versus Utah Valley.
Yeah, UConn.
Marquette versus Toledo.
Oh man. Marquette. Toledo's defense isn't good enough to stop them.
You want to talk about a conflict of interest for your boy right here. Creighton versus Charleston.
I mean, it's Creighton, right?
Yeah, but that game would be the end of me.
Yeah.
And then wrapping it up, Providence versus Pittsburgh.
Oh, is that in like an 8-9 game?
7-10.
7-10. Wow. Providence versus Pittsburgh. Shout out Tristan Freeman. Let's go Pittsburgh.
I like it.
I'll roll with Pitt.
I don't know, man. Bryce Hopkins is him. I think an irrelevant but underrated storyline in Northwestern and Maryland's clash on Sunday is that both teams are projected like 6-7 seeds, but could realistically, the winner could end up in the same region as Tennessee, and like the loser ends up with Marquette on the 3-6 line. And like, I would much rather play Tennessee.
That's true. There are big implications. That's actually what I'm interested to see, like, moving forward, is like who benefited more from whatever happens in this game.
Yeah. Because I mean, for what it's worth, in the athletics,
Tennessee Maryland would be just an impressive lack of shot making.
Dude, the same could be said for I texted my that they like threw that out in bracketology because like I selfishly want it because if Northwestern ends up on like the 6 line, if they get like Virginia or Tennessee, that means they'll play in Greensboro, which would just be spectacular for my travel. But Maryland's got Tennessee in the athletics, but Maryland would have West Virginia in the first round. Wow. Northwestern.
Really? West Virginia?
Yeah. Northwestern has the winner of USC versus Oklahoma State. They have that in the athletic and
those are both pretty tough matchups.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No,
I know that Field of 68 has Maryland Auburn.
Yep. And then you play Arizona.
Yeah. I think we could definitely beat Auburn. I'm not scared of Auburn at all.
I'm not scared of Auburn either.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm scared of how bad that game would be if Northwestern and Auburn play again.
Yeah, but that would finish in the 40s.
I mean, we've already seen one finish in the 40s.
Yeah.
We've lived that story.
Yes,
actually.
we've lived that. It's true.
No, I texted my friends because like they were like, "Oh my gosh, Tennessee, Alex, you said Tennessee's like hit or miss." I was like, "Well, yeah, but no." Like I texted them a photo of a screenshot of the lowest scoring games in NCAA tournament history and said we'd join that list if we played Northwestern played Tennessee. Boo boo, we would have 60% of Northwestern's points on 60% of Northwestern shots.
It's true. Yeah. Are there any mid majors right now who you think like, if you like, not even thinking of who they would be playing, you're just like, I'm probably gonna end up picking them?
So not matchup dependent.
Yeah, just non-matchup dependent mid majors, which is kind of tough to predict, but
on pure vibes, if Charleston gets in, I'm just gonna take them like blindly.
Sure. Okay.
Out of my faith for Pat Kelsey.
Yeah.
However, like on a serious note, I really like the idea of Hofstra.
The idea of Hofstra is quite fun.
Exactly, like on that 4-13 in a 4-13 game. Oh yeah.
I'm kind of there with Marshall right now.
I can get that. I can get on that. Is Florida Atlantic a cop out?
They're going to be like a 9, aren't they? Like
Yeah.
a 9 or a 10.
That's still a cop out.
A little bit.
But then UNC Asheville, honestly, man. Drew Pember. Give me Drew Pember versus Zach Edey in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
Drew Pember versus Zach Edey and the teams that we drafted back in January.
True. I put him on the floor. Let him cook.
I know everyone's on the Oral Roberts train. I also am, but like the fact that they're kind of mainstream now worries me a little bit.
Yeah. And like I just didn't want to That's why I didn't mention him. Like everyone knows who Max Abmas is. He's a commodity. Everyone loves him, and for good reason. So
I'm starting to hop on the Nevada hype train.
Really?
Which I don't know how big of a hype train they have right now, but I want to be one of the first to board it. Because I think like they're in a good spot where they're not like the best team in the Mountain West. They're kind of like third or fourth. But they have the pieces for sure to cause people some problems in March. They have the veteran backcourt. They have interior presence. They're balanced. Like it's not like their offense is way better than their defense or vice versa. So I think they play pretty slow too. So like controlled possessions. If I remember looking at KenPom correctly the other day, I think they're like pretty low in terms of tempo. But I kind of like Nevada.
To me, San Diego State's a mid-major, obviously, but I guess this takes away from taking away the matchup-dependent prompt. But if they get if they stay on the 6th line and end up with Tennessee, I'm probably taking the Aztecs.
Fair enough.
But again, matchup-dependent.
Yeah.
So
cool. Any final thoughts? Ready to wrap this up. Put a bell on this thing.
Go Cats, and somebody besides Boo Buie, please put the ball in the hoop on Sunday.
Go Catalyst.
No, not Go Catalyst.
Okay, fine.
Go Blue Fog.
Go Blue Fog. Yes, go Blue Fog. That's one of my final thoughts.
Jameer Young versus Boo Buie for the final first team All Big Ten guard spot alongside Jalen Pickett. Sunday. Yeah. He will be crowned.
Book it. It's a heavyweight matchup.
Between 2 6'2" guards on a good day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited for that.
It is it's interesting. Like the matchups. Like Jameer Young, Boo Buie, Hakeem Hart, Chase Audige.
Yep.
Who's your center?
Ty Berry and the rim. Sorry, that was too hard. Okay, that was mean. I'm sorry. Matt Nicholson.
There you go, Matt Nicholson. I don't know why I on that. I knew
they're
that.
They're statistically better with Titus Verhoeven on the floor, but he fouls out. So,
but I digress. I didn't stay up to watch the press conference after the Illinois Northwestern game. What question did you ask, or did you ask a question?
I did not, because I was on the Rapid recap, so I was done.
More like the Rafter recap, am I right?
Yeah, the Rafter recap. Go check out my picture, everybody.
Yeah.
I was in the top row. Shout out the State Farm Center. Shout out whoever was on the aux for the State Farm Center. They were only playing bangers. It was amazing, and it was all over the place. That made my night better. But yeah, it was just I didn't get to ask a question. Plus, it's always tough in away environments because the SID obviously doesn't know you, so they're going to go to the beat writers they know.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, also I was coughing up a storm with my dry throat.
Yeah,
I was just hacking, and I felt so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I didn't ask a question.
Fair
but Collins was just we couldn't put the ball in the hoop. I was like, you're right.
You couldn't.
You couldn't. Boo Buie didn't have a field goal over the last 10 minutes of the game, so.
And he was the only one who was gonna put the ball in the basket.
Yeah.
So.
My guy, maybe let's try something else besides dribble handoffs at the top of the key.
Yeah.
So.
Will you be at the Big Ten tournament?
Yep.
Yeah. It's in Chicago, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
You should come.
Sweet. If I could, I would. Shout out to every SID who's ghosted me in the last weeks.
Oh, geez. Can't
get an email back to save my life, man. It's
calling
crazy.
them out like that. Jeez.
Crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah. So now, and I also didn't get credentialed for the NCAA tournament in Madison Square Garden, which was kind of a long shot, but
yeah.
With some of the people that get credentials for that, I was like, there's definitely a shot. So
yeah.
So now I have to decide if I'm going to go anyway, but just have to pay to get in, which is obviously less enjoyable, but it's March Madness, so it's enjoyable no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be especially enjoyable when Maryland is in the Sweet 16.
Bingo. Yep.
That
would be crazy. I don't know what I would do. So Maryland's like close to the thresholds for championship contenders, which is so funny to me because they're definitely not. But I just like posed the question to my dad yesterday, like, what if Maryland like wins the national championship? I couldn't even say it with a straight face because it's the most ridiculous thing ever. There's just no way.
No, because because obviously like no one up here. So this is where my rant is. People complaining about Northwestern fans and Northwestern students and this and that. Yes, the chants towards Miller Kopp were obscene. They were prolonged for 2 hours. No one deserves that. They could have been more creative. That being said, he has heard that at other venues. Let's not act like Northwestern is the only culprit in this scenario. And on top of this, people act like you've been there. We haven't been there. This is why we're acting like this. We don't know. We've never been there. So for the 4 people that will have listened to all 53 minutes of this, guys, don't press the Northwestern students like that. We don't know what we're doing. You're right. I'm trying to get people to be more creative.
But you guys just aren't used to being able to like chant stuff, So
yeah, we just gotta try more. Simply, like it's true. It's just gotta be like a good "We don't need you" chant would have sufficed.
See, that's good. Yeah.
But
"You're not primal" chant would have been good.
See, they're not on the depths like we are.
Yeah, you're right. We're in the weeds.
Yeah, we're way in the weeds. And I can't give like a lecture explaining all this ahead of the game.
Yeah, right. You can't hand out cheat sheets like the Blue Bloods do.
No, we've tried. It's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah.
But shout out Wildside anyway.
Those are really weird. Wildside, real? Is that what your fan section is? Your student section? Nice.
Yep.
Love that. Anyway. I'll bring it up just because I feel like I should just because I had texted you about it. I went to see the top 10 matchup between the Maryland women's basketball team and Iowa.
Yeah.
Xfinity Center this past week. Although I am a Maryland fan, I'm not going to lie. I was pretty much exclusively there to see the phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark because she's incredible. She's honestly extremely entertaining. And last time she played Maryland, she had it was 42 points, 7 boards and 8 assists or something like that. And then it was crazy because this was full disclosure, the first women's college basketball game that I had ever been to. I'd never been to one before. So I wasn't really sure what to expect from an atmosphere standpoint, but I am not kidding. It was one of the most hostile environments I've ever been in, including all the men's games I've been to. And maybe it was just where we were sitting, but there are these guys behind us just personally heckling Caitlin Clark for all 40 minutes. It was crazy. And I was talking to my dad about it, and back in the day, I mean, Maryland fans are kind of notorious for being kind of crass and terrible to opponents that come in the building, which isn't the best. But back in the day, when JJ Redick was kind of the big villain, he would play into it a little bit, right?
Yeah, he would, absolutely.
And I've seen clips of Caitlin Clark kind of saying all right, bring it, she didn't do that at all in this game, and she didn't really do anything deserving of being chanted at for 40 minutes. She didn't say anything to the crowd. She didn't. I don't know. I don't really know what was going on there. It was kind of embarrassing though. It was just a little weird.
Yeah. And
she would find me a basketball player who's never asked the ref about a foul to be what was that?
Yeah.
Pretty much every basketball player does that, but somehow it was way more magnified when she would do it because people think that she was like whining the whole game or like flopping the whole game. There's some lady who was sitting courtside who brought a fish, an actual fish, who every time Caitlin Clark would hit the deck would like wave the fish like she's flopping like a fish. I don't know. It was really weird.
That's kind of creative.
It was bizarre. It was creative.
The commitment to the bid is something.
But long story short, Maryland trounced Iowa. Completely flipped the script from the last time we played them where we lost by double digits. They won this game by like almost 30 points. It was a drubbing at the Xfinity Center, led by 2 bench players. Shout out Brene Alexander and Lavender Briggs, who averaged like 8 and 6 points respectively entering the game, scored 24 and 17, I think.
Okay.
There was some impressive shot making going on. I will not lie. Maryland shot like 55% from 3. It was crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah. They went 7 for 11 from 3 in the second quarter. It was wild. Yeah.
That's wild.
And Caitlin Clark, I mean, did her thing, hit her fair share. She hit a couple like deep threes just because like she can.
Yeah.
She finished with like 18, 5, and 5. But really struggled to find her rhythm for most of the game. And I think like half of her points came in the last 5 minutes when, the defensive effort wasn't really all the way there. So definitely not her best game of the season.
Yeah.
But which was tough because I kind of wanted to see her go off a little bit, but it is what it is.
Take the win.
Yeah, take the win. Yeah, but I don't know. That was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to go. So I'll probably go to games in the future. So
it's good.
I don't know. It's a good time. That's going to do it from us. Thank you to those of you who have stuck around, listened to us ramble a little bit. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. If you're listening on Spotify, rate the podcast 5 stars if you feel so inclined, and follow the podcast so you never miss another episode. You can follow us at Gym Range Pod on everything, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. All our handles are scrolling down at the bottom if you're watching the video. So be sure to check us out there. For me, for Alex, that's going to do it. See you next time.